You're watching TVC Breakfast. Gombe is an agrarian state endowed with different types of minerals and cash crops, nicknamed Jewel of the Savannah. Gombe is home to a people who are primarily farmers. The state has been through 5 administrations since Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999 and is now in its sixth under the leadership of Muhammad Inuwa Yahaya, who is marking his 1 year in office as governor. A seasoned accountant, Governor Yahaya has facilitated a reduction in the cost of governance by reducing the number of ministries from 27 to 21. Education is one area where the governor is receiving a lot of accolades. He flagged off the better education service delivery for all to mop up out-of-school children from the streets. Joining me from Gombe to discuss more on this is the Deputy Governor of the state, His Excellency Manassah Daniel Jatau. Good morning and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Once more, good morning and thank you for having us on your program.
It's been 1 year. Talk to us about the journey so far.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, it's 1 year so far, and we have a lot of ambition. Immediately we came in, we noticed that health was in dire need of attention, so we made health as our first priority, then education follows, then agriculture follows. That has been what we have been able to pursue. A day after our swearing in, we had to address the water situation. We visited the water board, visited the Hydropower Dam. That is where the supply of water, that's where we have the state water treatment plant. On that same day, we went to the Ministry of Agric to see the position of fertilizer because like an agrarian society, fertilizer is too important. There we didn't see any, but within 2 weeks we were able to provide. On that same day, we went to the hospital, and the hospital was in dire need. I can now assure you that as I'm talking to you, we are handling and renovating the specialist hospital. We have brought all health facilities under the local governments under what we call primary health care under one roof. We have also noticed that transportation linkages is very important. Therefore, virtually in all our 11 local governments, there are road construction works that are going on. We do hope that it will ease a lot of things. One, it will make para-security personnel to reach needy areas in good time. It will also help the citizens to reach health facilities where there is the need. Apart from transporting agricultural projects, we have what we call the industrial park, that we have taken about 1,000 hectares of land with the hope that we will create an avenue where those that are interested in investing can have a place that they can invest. To the glory of God, this industrial park is very near the Hydropower water dam, where we have already gotten about 40 megawatts of power. Then it's near the source of water. So we believe that the industry shouldn't have any infrastructural deficits.
All right, let's look at security situation in the state now. In a recent interview by the governor, he said that many people do not know that the state is affected by the insurgency. How so, and what measures is the state taking to address this?
Well, actually, the insurgency is not directly on us, but we are bearing the brunt more than any other place. Being the most peaceful state among the 6 states that comprise the Northeast, we have been having not just influx, but a surge of people coming. And they are coming as indirectly and directly also pressed on the existing amenities that we have. Our hospitals are overstretched, our schools are overstretched. So that is particularly where we are touched directly. But not to relax, ours is the government that has set up a Ministry of Internal Security and Ethical Orientation. We have 2 special advisors on security. One is the popular, well-known retired Commissioner of Police, CP Wakili, Muhammad Wakili, that was in Kano, which I believe is not a new name in Nigeria. The other is also a tested veteran. He's a retired colonel. So these are the advisors on security. knowing also the effects of drugs on the youth, we have also a special advisor on drugs. All these are measures to ensure that we take the security situation. And I can tell you that we are liaising not just with the law enforcement agents, we are liaising even with the traditional rulers, because we believe that security is not something that can be left to security agencies alone.
How about the states where this situation is going on? Like you said, it is not happening right within the state, but from other states where the challenges are taking place. Are you liaising with the governors of those states to also address the situation?
Oh, we are. We have been attending meetings. There was a summit that was called by the IG in Borno State for all the northern states governors, northeast governors. We have also initiated a meeting of the northeast governors, and we have been realizing, we have been meeting on tele, we have been meeting physically also when the opportunity comes. But for this corona, we have scheduled meetings to liaise with our colleagues in the northeastern state. At any rate, you will recall that it was one state under Gawan. It was the northeast state under Musa Usman. So we still believe that the 6 northern states are still one state.
All right, talk to us about the 30 megawatts hydroelectricity project, how that is coming.
40. It's a 40 megawatts.
40, yes.
Yes. It's to be generated from Dadinkowa Dam. You know, the state is blessed with 2 big dams. We have the Dadinkowa Dam, which is, like I told you, 40 megawatts, has been already concluded. We are waiting for Mr. President to come on commission. We also have another dam, which is called Balanga Dam. Attempts are on and struggles are on to ensure that it also generates about 10 megawatts. So we are taking advantage of our dams, apart from just using it for agriculture and others. We also want to generate power from it. We also have a Cham Dam, which is also under construction. It was there, but unfortunately it collapsed. But we are reactivating it because we know the importance of agri, and we know that without water, agri will be emerged.
All right, let's talk now about COVID-19. There was a repatriation of Almajirai. I wonder, a lot of persons rather are wondering if there were no other measures the state could have taken to address this issue rather than repatriate them.
Well, let me just sincerely tell you that the Almajiri system has not been too comfortable for any person. You will also agree with me that the way you saw the Almajiris, you know that it was not a conducive way of getting education anyhow. Somebody cannot claim to be getting educated when his parents are not in here, when his sanitation habit is not there, when he eats from whatever he sees. I mean, he was roaming the streets. If that was the form of education, please, it was a displaced form of education. Now, like the Calabar people will always tell you, in anything bad, there is something good. I think that if anything, the COVID-19 is giving us a rethink of how to handle the Almajiri system. They are supposed to have their own modern schools. They are supposed to have their own syllabus, like in other school. And the children should go from their parents' home under the care of somebody. You cannot abandon a child and say he's reading. So that we are repatriating, we are just saying, go back home, be trained, and come back. It's not something that was just happening in Gombe. It is everywhere. And it was an agreement between the northern governors.
But President Goodluck, former President Goodluck Jonathan did build some schools. I wonder why state governments didn't key into that.
Political will. There was no political will. Down there is a strong political will.
All right, now, there was a food distribution of 66,000 vulnerable persons. What were the indices to determine who the vulnerable persons were, or those who can benefit from this?
Well, by chance, the Emir of Gombe was the chairman of that palliative committee, and I personally flagged up the first distribution. And I can assure you that at least the first 10 people that I gave, which I believe is reflective enough of others, were people that are either widowed, disabled physically, or challenged. I can assure you that for those that were there and captured the pictures, some had the grace of having wheelchair. I'm saying grace of having wheelchair because there was one that didn't even have the wheelchair. She had a seat that the children would have to lift her with the seat. And we also refer to the social investment
program
register that we had in the state. So it was not just an arbitrary work, it was a work of research findings before we came to it. We have 2,218 polling units, and the target was every polling unit should have 30 households to benefit. So it's 30 times 2,218 polling units. That's what we have done. We have plugged it up. We are still on. Yesterday it was Yemen to Deva, and by tomorrow it will be another local government.
Your state is an agrarian state. Talk to us about strategic measures being put in place to boost that sector, especially there are concerns that there could be a food crisis in the country.
We are all set. One, because of the overusage of land, fertilizer is so important. As I'm talking to you now, we are receiving fertilizer, and by the middle of June, it should get to each and every ward, because that's what we do. We distribute our fertilizer straight to wards, not to gather them in Gombe and start distributing. Sometimes it gives time for corner kicks and sharp practices. So as I'm talking to you now, there are local governments that have received their own trailer loads of fertilizer. But far beyond that also, we are convinced that all this monocropping from November to November will not help. So we have encouraged our people to do dry season farming, and they have been on it. We are talking of irrigation. The Balanga Dam that we talked about is for irrigation and other facilities that can be assisted. It is our intention that we will create what we call agri-farm centers in each and every ward of the state. We have 114 wards, and we intend to establish agric extension centers so that the farmers don't have to travel as far as to Gombe to get assistance when there are challenges of either pesticide and other dangers, killer bugs that attack their crops. Transportation is the reason why we have what we call Network 1100. It is our intention by 2023, each and every local government here would have benefited roads of about 100 kilometers time. That is why we call it Network 1100.
All right, quickly, Your Excellency, before we let you go, we want you to talk on the issue of education. There are talks that perhaps schools will resume June the 8th in the school. Clear the air on that, and also talk to us about measures being put in place to ensure that when schools resume, children are safe.
Our children are safe. In fact, by the time we came, Gombe had a bad record of out-of-school children, over 700,000. But I can tell you we have reduced it. The BESDA that you mentioned as one of the things that we are doing under education has brought almost every child now under the school age. We have appointed people that are more serious. There is monitoring of the schools, both their syllabus, the food they eat, and whatever is there. We have introduced mop to determine the performance of the children before they even face the final exams. So we are really determined. But for the COVID-19, which, like I have always said, is something that has flattened the world into one thing, that America is now as good as Antawalam in Bildiri, because we are all left panting over an issue. Before then, we were set, and immediately after it, we are ready to continue where we stopped. We have renovated a lot of schools that were totally blown up by the wind. We have renovated like GSS Kaltungo, Dadinkowa is on, and other schools that were just neglected like that. We can tell you that we have even established the Teacher Service Commission. We do hope that not just students, but we want to also address the issue of teachers, because without teachers, there can be no students.
All right, Deputy Governor Manassah Daniel Jatau, thank you so much for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast. Well,